Welcome viewers, welcome to the MDPS podcast, a podcast from the students for the society. और आज के इस पहले एपिसोड में हमारे साथ है मिस कोमल.
Miss Komal is a happiness coach, a motivational speaker, and a clinical hypnotherapist, an Indian living in the UK for 7 years. उन्होंने 15 साल कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में काम किया and now she's on a mission to start happiness in the world. She's a strong believer in the idea of giving and says it is much more important and joyful than taking.
Believing in her ideology of giving, she has been setting up Dhyan Care Centers for children. Care centers जहाँ बच्चे रहते हैं and they will be learning to be happy citizens. इतना ही नहीं, professionally she is a clinical hypnotherapist and a meditation guide. इसके अलावा she organizes corporate workshops to raise happiness among people.
We welcome you, Miss Komal.
Thank you.
So, you said you believe in the idea of giving. Can you shed more light on it?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy that I'm here. The idea of giving comes from my childhood. Ever since I had some senses of what the world is. I have been living. I've lived in India all my life, except the past 7 years. And every time I step out of the house, I'm sure you experience that as well. We see people living on the roads, children begging and just not getting enough that they deserve. And that's when I thought that whenever I'm capable, I would like to do something for them so that they become more responsible, respectable, and make a good life for themselves and even for people around them. That was the idea of giving that I always had. And I made it a purpose of my life to be able to do something for them. More than anything else, that's something that motivates me.
Like you have mentioned that you have made giving a purpose of your life. Do you think having such purposes is important?
I wouldn't say such purpose, but having a purpose is definitely important for long-lasting happiness. I would say that purpose is the secret ingredient for a happy and more fulfilling life. So one definitely should pursue their purpose. First of all, seek their purpose and pursue their purpose. That's something everyone should do that. Basically, purpose is to find out why you do what you do. Do you know the purpose of your life?
Like as students, right now we are trying to find what our purpose really are. We are looking into it, navigating through that.
Okay. What about you? You have any thoughts?
But we should, for me, the purpose of my life should be like I'm happy and the other people are secondary. Like if I'm being myself and I'm really happy and the other people, I can think about after that.
नहीं
पहले अपनी सीट बेल्ट लगाएं फिर दूसरों की लगाएं, right?
Somewhat I believe that if we will keep people around us happy, then we will be happy all together.
Okay. You have sort of contradicting thoughts, but they are still similar because it's all about happiness.
Yes.
Eventually you will be happy when you do things for your happiness and when you do things to make other people around you happy.
Like it's the first step of doing anything.
Right. No, I think that's really important. I guess you have a lot of knowledge about purpose at this age. I had absolutely no idea. I didn't even know the word, I'm sure, at that age. But I want to add a quote here, maybe that can add on to your knowledge. And this is by Rolf Emerson. And he says, the purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful. It is to be compassionate. It is to live your life in a way that you have lived it meaningfully, have lived it well. That is a purpose. So you should definitely be happy. Of course, you can't spread happiness if you're not. But in addition to your own happiness, you should find ways to add happiness to other people is what should be the purpose. But you have a lot of time to discover.
Yes.
No worries at all. We all have time. Like a lot of people sadly have no purpose in life and they have no importance towards it. They don't want to do anything like that. I'm glad that you have thoughts and you have ideas which are good enough, and I'm sure you'll discover it more. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you. And here's my follow-up question.
Yeah.
What do you think should be the pillars of long-lasting happiness?
Pillars of long-lasting happiness, that's a lot. So we're going to spend a lot of time in this question.
Yes.
And the discussion. So, pillars of happiness. The first and the most important pillar of happiness, as proved by a study and research that I will mention, is social connections. Deep, meaningful social connections is the most important thing that you can develop to enjoy happiness in a long term, even when you turn 100. There was a study, there has been a study going on, which is the longest study on human development, which is being conducted by Harvard. You can search on that and maybe read about it, which is called the GRANT study. And in that study, they studied the lives of more than 700 adults and more than 2,000 of their children and grandchildren, like their generations. And they studied all aspects of their life. And what they discovered was people who are more happier in a long term are the ones who maintained good relationships, good social connections, meaningful connections, because that protects your mind, your health, and your happiness in the long term. So the director of the study, that he said that loneliness is as dangerous as smoking or alcoholism. So one has to take care of our emotional needs. And the best way to do is to have good people around you and to take care of them and to let yourself being taken care by them, So that's the first thing, social connections. The second thing for our happiness is, let me tell you a story first.
Sure.
You can, I'm sure, figure out or find out what it is about. Have you heard of Ruby Bridges?
No, I haven't.
Ruby Bridges was the first African American girl to go to an all-white school many decades ago. And as you can imagine, the way things are, if somebody is bringing a change, it's often criticized. And at that time, for an African American girl to go to an all-white school was a big controversial matter. But she was the first one to actually sort of get that going. And in the school, everybody was white, including the teachers, and there was absolutely no acceptance. So children as well as teachers were not ready to accept her. Children used to say bad things about her, they used to criticize her and all of that, except one teacher who used to welcome her and teach her. And she told her, Ruby, don't talk to anybody, don't listen to anything, just come straight to the class. And that's what she used to do. Except one day when that teacher saw Ruby talking to those children. And then she called Ruby and said, why were you talking to them? I told you not to talk to them. She said, I wasn't talking to them. I was just listening to them when they were saying bad things to me. And I was praying because they don't know what they're doing. So I was praying for them. What this story tells you? What's your take on it?
That people should really believe in themselves.
Right.
Yeah, and we should not let other people have opinion about us if they don't even know us.
Yeah.
What others think about us don't really matter. What we really are, we know that, and that matters much more than what others believe.
Exactly. But other than that, of course, she was a strong girl.
Yes.
She could live in an environment where she was not accepted by most people. So that definitely tells about her strength and her own belief in herself. But more than that, because she was praying for them, that means she has a very compassionate heart. And she was a 6-year-old, by the way. I missed to mention that. She's just a 6-year-old girl. We are living in a world where we are all very quick to judge people and then criticize people. If they make one small mistake, we will make a judgment and then we will think they are bad people. Instead, if we enable our compassionate heart and we try to find out why they are doing what they are doing, we might be able to have a bit of understanding for them. You don't have to be their friends, but you can have positive thoughts about them. And that's the second pillar of our happiness, is to be compassionate and bring kindness into the world. And that's where it begins. So kindness is the second pillar of happiness. And in my own limited strength and resources, as you mentioned in my introduction, thank you for bringing that up, is that with the help of one of my very, very good friends, I'm setting Dhyan a care center, which will be a residential place for children who will stay there. And we aim to not only give them food and education, but we want to build their mindset for happiness, for success, so that not only they are independent, but they're also helping other people when they grow up. So that's my way of bringing happiness, kindness into the world, and getting happiness for myself. So that's kindness. But since kindness is very close to my heart, I would love to hear your story of kindness. And kindness can be experienced in 3 ways. One, when you're giving, when you're, offering your service, help, whatever. Second, when you receive. And third, when you observe. Like when you heard the story, there is this, feeling of inspiration. Don't you feel that?
Yes.
So as an observer also, we experience kindness. So what's your story of kindness that you would want to share with
You told us about observing. Like,
Yes.
I haven't worked on ground, but I am somewhat associated with some of NGOs, and one of my friend is really doing well there. He's an year older. So he's working in those NGOs, and they go regularly in order to teach kids at different places.
Okay.
And I somewhat think that is a very kind thing to do, because they are somewhat making the future ahead, like
True.
the children who will grow ahead. And doing so, I think that's a very kind thing to do.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that inspires you and makes you feel good about.
And when I came to know that he's doing so, I want like a feeling of
Your feeling of,
I
contributing.
wanted to contribute into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And that's beautiful. No? That's the what they call it, kindness boomerang.
Yes, that's what you told us about kindness. That if you observe someone being kind, we also like to be so.
Like to be kind, exactly. There's this video on kindness boomerang that you should go and watch. I'm going to give you a couple of tasks, by the way. Please go and watch
Yes.
Kindness Boomerang. It's a music video where they talk about exactly same thing that as you mentioned. It's a beautiful video. Must watch. So what's your story of kindness?
Last year I had an exam and I was already kind of late. So while I was going to the center, I met this lady and I was going through my stuff for the questions and I was kind of really nervous and she could see that.
So you were in a public transport?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and she told me like it's not to worry about and all the best. And
Oh, so
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, that was so sweet and
I
that really
know.
inspired me and I had an amazing exam. Yeah,
Wow,
So, yeah.
see, that's
and I
so
still
beautiful.
remember her because of her kindness. So that's my story.
See, sometimes those words can really uplift someone and can make their day. So it's so important to choose our words properly. So yeah, thank you. That was a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. I did miss one point actually, which is very well connected to social connections. And that's, I would like to ask you first, that when it comes to social connections, like it's a very, very deep topic. It's, I covered it very briefly, but it's something that you can do, years of research. But when it comes to social connections, what do you think is the key element of building a deep connection with someone?
I think social connections, you should surround yourself with people like that make your heart happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're just forcing yourself to be there to socialize and know each other, it's fine for some point. But for deep connections, you should be with the people who actually make you feel good. Be wanted them.
Yeah, your heart, what do you say? Heart,
Make your heart happy.
your heart happy. See, this is so beautiful. Like, it's like your heart happy. It's happy heart. My God, are you really like 15, 16-year-old? You don't, your things are like, you're very, very mature in that sense. Well done. What was my question, by the way? What makes social connections? I get that. Okay, what do you think?
Social connections. Okay.
I mean, your heart happy, sort of distracted me from what I was talking. It was so beautiful. Yes.
You talked about building deep social connections, but right now what we generally see is all connections are somewhat made because of something. Profit के लिए या फिर give and take relationships are there nowadays. So building connections require knowing someone, and knowing someone you need to spend time with them. So अगर आप different situations में जाके उनके साथ time spend करोगे, you get to know them better and you can build better connections of them. इस तरीके से I believe somewhat a connection would be more meaningful rather than that give and take relationship.
Yeah, of course. I agree to that. The give and take is okay. I mean, in some relationships, it's important. As long as you are fair in your dealings. I mean, and there is no dishonesty or cheating or whatever, but it's okay. But I'm talking about the deep, as you said, they are different.
Yes.
The deep connections. But sometimes instantly also you can have a connection like she had with that lady. You know, it's okay. She might not meet her again.
Yes.
But that instant moment was very, very positive and full of inspiration. And she wished her well and she felt good and she de-stressed. And she's crediting her for a good experience in her exam. So, so let me tell you a story again. And you tell me what's the key message
Yes.
in that story. And that story is something I've narrated many, many times because this is a story, it's very close to my heart. So once I was in Panchgani. Have you heard of Panchgani? It's a small place near Pune, Maharashtra. It's like a small hill station. So I was in Panchgani with a friend and I was sitting on a tea stall, like a local market. There was a small shop. It was tea stall. So we were just having a tea and just enjoying the view. And I saw a lady, poor lady, apparently, and she was carrying a box of comb, that cardboard box. She was selling combs, and she was at quite a distance, but I could see her, and I waved at her to come close. And when she came, I said, "Have a sit. Let's have tea." She was surprised and very hesitant. She said, "No, no, no, I can't have." And then she agreed eventually, but she didn't agree to sit. I said, "We चाय तो बैठ के ही पियेंगे हम, ऐसे तो नहीं होगा." She was hesitant because she thought that people around her and the shop owner, they will have an objection, her sitting in their premises and having tea. I said, "नहीं, ऐसा तो नहीं होगा, चाय तो बैठ के ही पियेंगे." Then she finally sat. And when she sat, we had our first sip of tea. I said, "How are you?" And she took out a photo of her son from her bag and she said, "I lost her last year to cancer." Sorry, lost him last year to cancer. And she started crying. And she explained a few more things, what happened after that. And she said, "My husband stopped working and now I have to do everything to be able to run the family." So she said all of that. And then we finished our tea and I bought a few combs from her. And that's how we waved goodbye. But there was an instant connection. There was something deeper in that small meeting. I felt better. She felt better, visibly. And that's how it is. I've never met her again. I hope I do get a chance to meet her again. But do you know what's the key, the most important thing in this story? Sorry?
She must have felt nice talking to you. Like how a small connection, how small meeting could relieve your stress so much, could make you feel better, could make your heart happy.
Heart happy, yes, that's true. The heart happy factor is there. But what's the key message? I'm waiting for the word.
Yeah, people are really quick to judge others without knowing their struggles and all. And I have seen people who are like really happy, but they stop doing something that makes them happy just because others were sarcastic about it. They appreciate
Judgmental
them.
about
Judgmental, yeah. So I think instead of that, people should be kind because kindness is free.
What if it costs? It costs. I mean, if you look at it, it's free, but it costs your time,
I think
effort,
if
sometimes resources and all that. But
like if you're spending, you're getting better in yourself.
you're getting
You do
that
what
makes
will
sense.
come
in
back to
return.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, this was not really an exam. But the key message in this story is listening.
We don't know what people are suffering from, what they might be suffering
So
from.
if you have a heavy heart and you want to share, in that story, in that situation, me and my friend, the moment I said, "How are you?" after that, it was only her who was talking. we didn't utter a word. We didn't have anything to say. We were just there and we were listening to her like patiently, like we were into that story and we were just listening. If you want to build a beautiful connection with people around you, you've got to learn the art of listening, like careful listening. Put your phones away, put everything away, and then listen to them what they want to say. Try to know more, validate their feelings, and do not advise unless it's asked, but just listen in a way that you want to listen and know what they want to say. That is a fundamental foundation to building beautiful connections. The last pillar, there are many more actually, but I'm talking about key pillars. The last pillar, you have any guesses? It's the most famous one, I would say that.
Like we are done with kindness, connections. What other could it be?
So the last pillar for happiness is gratitude. You know gratitude, right? Gratitude is incredibly important. It's not that happy people are grateful, but grateful people are happy. So being a grateful person is being a positive person, because you see the good in everything around you. You see everything around you is a blessing. And that's the thought process that runs in your mind. It's not, so you focus on the goods in your life. Everyone has good and bad. Whether you are a 15-year-old, 50-year-old, or a 100-year-old, whether you are a male or a female, or rich or poor, or whatever, whoever, wherever you are, everyone has challenges and blessings. Where we focus and pay our attention to how we think, and how we think is, what makes us happy or what builds our life. So let me tell you a story again. It's not a story, it's a fable. Do you know fable?
Short story somewhat related to animals.
No, it's
Okay.
not. A fable is a made-up story which is created to convey a message. Okay, you might have heard it. It's also, I think, a bit common. So this is a story between a conversation between a grandfather and a grandson, where the grandfather tells his grandson that there are always two wolves running in your head. Two wolves, not fighting in your head. One has all the good things like kindness, hope, love, dreams, positivity, all the good things. And the other one has all the bad things, hatred, anger, disappointment, stress, all that. They're always fighting. And so the grandson asks, so which one wins? To which the grandfather says, the one you feed. So we always have thoughts. Sometimes we think we should do this, we should do that, and all that. We need to be more aware of our thoughts and try to find ways to feed the ones that are positive, that are good, that makes us good, that brings the best out of us, and so that we can be kind. As you said, you want to be happy. If you are happy, then only you can bring happiness to the world. So that is gratitude, because you put your focus. Like right now, my focus is that I have some water left. Not like, oh my God, I just have this much water left. So that's gratitude. So if Albert Einstein said there are only two ways of living your life. One as if nothing is a miracle, and the other as if everything is a miracle. So tell me about your life. Do you think you have miracles in your life?
I always believe in miracles.
So what's a miracle in your life? What's the most important, precious blessing that you feel that you have in your life?
I think I'm not really disabled and all, and God has given me
Healthy body and mind.
Yeah.
Other
Yes.
than healthy body and mind, the people around us. I have very nice people around me. And
Name
I,
one nice person around you.
Like I have you with me right now.
Oh
You're
my God.
teaching.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay.
But other than that, my parents, they are very supportive. My friends who really help me out,
Yeah,
teachers.
yeah.
These people are my miracles
Your
because
miracles, right.
these are people who help me when I need the most.
Right. So, can you think of any one person who has made a great difference in your life positively, but you haven't had a chance to express your gratitude? I'm sure there must be a lot. We are not very good with expressions. We might feel, but not we as in, I'm not talking about you, but in general, people are not very good with expressions. They don't express their gratitude very, very well. So let me tell you the key elements of gratitude. And I give you a task to go ahead and write a gratitude note for someone, whoever you want to write it for. So there are 4 elements. Don't say thank you for everything. That's not good enough. That's not heartfelt. They should feel it. I'm not giving you a script. I'm just giving you some ideas of what you should add, and then you can make up your own. The first thing you should say is clearly say what you are thankful for. Like, be specific. Okay? That's the first thing. Second, you should acknowledge their sacrifice. For them to be able to give you that opportunity or that facility or that whatever they have given you, they probably may have sacrificed something. Like your parents have sacrificed maybe their job, their high level jobs, or their time, their convenience to raise you, and all of that. And the third thing you should acknowledge is the value that sacrifice has brought to you. Like, without which I wouldn't be able to do that. Without which my life wouldn't be so convenient or so comfortable or so joyful or whatever. And last is thank you for all of that you have done for me, right? So that makes it up like a good, heartfelt gratitude. Would you do that?
Yes, for sure.
You're accountable for each other's tasks, and talk to each other after
Noted.
this and tell what you did, who you expressed, and how was the experience.
Like when you told right now that we need to be grateful, तब realize हुआ like there are so many people I'm grateful to, but I have never expressed really to them.
Yeah.
Like that's something I would do now.
Yes, you can try it. You can, find your way, what's comfortable. Maybe call them, or you can even express gratitude to people who are no more with us. You can express gratitude for things, experiences. Obviously, you may not have a person in front of you, but it's about expression. Like you mentioned to me earlier, before this podcast, that you like journaling. So a gratitude journal is an important thing. You can just add it on to your journal that, today this happened, like it was amazing or whatever. And I'm really grateful that I was able to experience that. Like, I live in the UK and I stay connected with my family and friends. And often I get this thought that thank God to technology. Whoever made this phone, whoever thought of internet, whoever thought of video calling and WhatsApping and all of that. I mean, God bless them. Like, what would I do without that? So there are many things. So I think we should pay attention to the miracles and not the miseries. That's how we learn to be grateful and happy.
Yeah. So you talked about how social connections make us happy, and there are a lot of people who think you can be happy by doing some charity work or volunteering. So do you think happiness should be focused more on self-care or by caring for others?
Both. I mean, वो अपनी सीट की बेल्ट पहले बांधी है, फिर किसी और को हेल्प किए. तो your container of happiness should be full. Only then you can pour. You can only pour from a full glass, not from an empty glass. So you have to be happy. You have to do self-care. If you're really stressed or angry or agitated or all of that, you cannot make other people happy, no matter how saintly in general you are. Like, if you jolt a saint and make him angry, he cannot make anybody else happy at that moment. So self-care is fundamental. But self-care does not mean that, as some people say that charity begins at home. A lot of people give this excuse. And I often think it should begin, but it should not end at home. Yeah. There are more things you should do. I mean, for most people, it's like begins at home. Yeah, they read it and they are happy. I just do things for myself and my family, that's fine. But why is it ending at home? You have more to offer to the world. I mean, as I say that if you have more money, build a larger fence and not a bigger table and not a larger fence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Like, bigger table will accommodate more people to feed. And fence build walls between you and the other people. So I can spend my money building a wall between me and other people, or I can build a larger table. Come and have food with me. So Yeah.
Like we talked so much about connections and technology की भी बात हुई. तो somewhat do you feel technology has destroyed deep connections?
Of course, yes, absolutely, 100%. Yes, it has, and it's incredibly important for younger generation to be mindful of that because they still have to gain that experience and wisdom, and they haven't seen the world without technology like you all. So it's difficult to stay away, but it's also incredibly important to have limitations when it comes to social media and scrollings and all of that. That brings a lot of challenges. So yes, it has to be kept under strict supervision and strict limits. And my parent side is coming, and yes, definitely. So yes, I would say that everything has pros and cons. Technology always has pros and cons. It has made the world what it is today, but it has also destroyed lots of things. So if you're mindful, if you're careful, if you know your limits, and if you know your end purpose, then I think you will be fine.
Not like in this scenario, how do we know who are the people who are like willing to build same connection with us?
You will feel that.
But absolutely.
You will feel that. It's all feelings. Like if you meet someone, you might know somebody for like many years and you still don't feel the connection. Because if someone cares for you, you will eventually get to know. Right? They accept you for who you are. They embrace your uniqueness, your unique qualities. They care for you. They support you if you need any help. They motivate you to aspire for your dreams. And they make out the time for you. Like if you need, they will shift things to take care of you when you need it. And you will know them. There is no rule book for that. You will just know. Just be aware and be open. Don't be critical, but you will find out.
Acha, so an interesting question. If you could go back to your 15-year-old self, so what changes would you do that you would build better connections or would have done all this thing better?
Is there any technology that we can actually do it? Like maybe, I don't know. I mean, these days what's happening?
I hope
I
that
hope.
comes.
Why do you hope? You are actually 15-year-old. You don't have to hope. You have the whole thing in front of you. Well, if I can talk to my 15-year-old, I would tell her to focus on the life skills, to meditate, to learn all of what I learned a little sooner. Walk the path of spirituality a little bit, at least start the journey of spirituality, build meaningful connections, eat good, exercise. Actually, I probably might tell her a lot of things and she would stop listening to me, but this much at least I would tell her.
Okay, so we have talked so much about happiness. What according to you is important thing that makes us happy? आपकी जर्नी में आपने क्या ऐसी चीजें फील की जो लोग जनरली ओवरलुक कर देते हैं?
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting question. The most important thing for happiness is definitely social connections, as I said, is the most important thing. However, sometimes people are not able to build, even if they want to. But so they have to take care of a few basics, few things before they actually start to build relationships also. Now let me do a small experiment and I'll ask you a question. I always ask you a question. So I'm holding this glass. Okay. Can you make a guess of how much weight I'm carrying?
Few hundred grams.
Like how many hundreds? Estimate, like
120?
120.
120 is a nice guess.
Okay, what about you?
80.
80, okay. So you said 120 and you said 80. That's how much I'm carrying it. However, if I carry this glass for 1 minute, it's no weight. I can talk to you. I won't even feel it. If I carry it for an hour, it'll start to hurt my hand a little bit. If I carry it for a day, it will make my arm numb. I might be feeling chronic pain, and it might even get worse. So, how much I'm carrying, how much weight I'm carrying depends on how long I'm carrying it. Eventually, for me to remove the pain, I need to drop it. So what I'm getting here is that one must learn to let go. And that takes me to another concept within happiness, which is incredibly important. I would say that more important than knowing pillars is actually to know happiness blockers. We need to know what blocks our happiness. If we take care of that, we can eventually invite the things that makes us happy and do it effortlessly. So the first thing is we need to learn to let go of the negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, toxic people, the toxic environment, and surround ourselves with nice, positive things that fills us with positivity. So that's incredibly important. Letting go is something that one has to prioritize. The second thing, I would start with the quote, and let me know what you understand with that. The day you stop the race is the day you win the race. What do you understand? What is the race I'm talking about?
Like the race of being liked by other people, and instead of being liked by other people, people should see if they like the person before them.
It's okay.
If we try to compete in everything, we might not enjoy the
Exactly.
journey we are living.
Comparisons. We need to
Yes.
drop the idea of being better than other people. And if you ask me, we can never compare ourselves with anybody else because we've all had very, very different journeys. No matter, we might be in the same hall giving the same exam or doing the same race, but we all have had different energy experiences all through our life. So we can never really compare with other people. The only person we can truly compare is who we are now, and then how can we be better next time, like tomorrow, after a month or so. So that's the only real comparison you can do, and that is where true growth implies. It is okay to be the class topper. It's good to be the class topper, but that shouldn't be the focus. That's a byproduct. Do you understand what's a byproduct?
Something that is left.
No.
Uh,
That's an added
yes.
advantage, but that's not the purpose. So the purpose should be self-growth. The purpose should be yesterday or the last month, whatever I was, whoever I was, as much as I knew, now I know better. I can do my maths questions better, I know English better, I know science better, I can play better, I can do things better, I do listening better, I'm evolving as a person. I'm better than who I was before is what the real true growth, and that's what you should focus on. Other things are byproducts. You might be praised by other people, they might like you more, you might get some recognition, you might get a reward, an award, and things like that. Those are byproducts. It's okay, enjoy that. But don't make it your focus. Comparison is a big blocker of happiness. Try to avoid it as much as you can. That takes me to the next blocker is not really prioritizing your life. Putting the things that are more important ahead of. So let me show you an experiment, not really, but just with metaphorically. Imagine I have a bowl, big bowl, transparent bowl, empty bowl, and I have rocks, big rocks, let's say 5 or 7, or middle-sized rocks, 10, 15, and lots of pebbles. And I have to put this all inside that bowl, and it should fill inside it. What would you do? How would you fill it? Like, which one would you put first, and then you'll add?
Starting with bigger rocks, moving to smaller ones.
Okay, and how would you?
That would be space efficient.
That would be space efficient. That's a right answer. Well done. So this is metaphorically our life, and the big rocks are the important aspects of our life, like our health, our relationship, purpose, and learning and growth and all that. And then the middle ones are less important, and the pebbles are like the additionals. If you put the pebbles first, the big ones won't fit in. You eventually lose out on, you keep doing social media, and you will lose on learning few things that are important for your exam and maybe your any game, any thing that you play or whatever that you learn. So it's important to understand what's priority for us in our lives, to do that first and fill your additional time with other fun stuff, and sometimes a bit of distraction is all right as long as your priorities are in place. So it's very important to be mindful of what are the things which blocks our happiness, which doesn't let us enjoy the pillars of happiness they experience life in a positive way, and try and stay away from them. So that's incredibly important.
Okay. What final advice would you like to give students who are right now studying among all this academic pressure and everything they are facing? How could be they happy? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I would actually give them the same advice I would give to my 15-year-old, but I do agree that nowadays academic excellence is a lot more valued than what it was a few decades ago. So it's important to be able to take care of your mind. I think mental health should be prioritized in schools, at home, and at least for elder students, they can themselves think through and see what's important for them and do the things that your mind likes. If you do the things your mind likes, your mind will do the things that you like, which means it will support you in whatever you want to do in your life. So meditation is important. Other therapeutic activities, your hobbies like reading, I know you read, I know you do journaling and dancing, those are important things. They are good for your mind. You should always do that, continue doing that. Never deprioritize those things over other things. Playing, having fun, laughter, and any other hobby that one wants to pursue, gardening, baking, cooking, or writing, all of that is important. That's how you take care of your mind. And the mind will then take care of you, help you with focus and excellence, and then you can do your studies and everything else. And instant gratification, as we talked about, social media is something one has to be very, very careful and mindful of, that how much I should do, because it can take hours and drain you mentally. And obviously, if it takes all your energy, then you don't have energy to do the things that are important, which you want to prioritize. So instant gratification is something one has to be mindful of and pay attention to the things that are going to give you long-lasting happiness. It's always a battle between current pleasures and long-lasting happiness. So the walls that we talked about, so we need to be mindful of what we want to feed. And we want to feed the ones that are going to help us in the long term.
Okay. So that's all. Thank you for being with us, Komal ma'am. It was a pleasure being with you. I hope this podcast would help our viewers, and definitely it helped me a lot. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Siddhi. Thank you, Siddhant. You have been wonderful people to talk to. I wish I could talk to you for more. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you, Mother Divine Public School, for having me here. I really enjoyed this time, and I hope it was useful to all the viewers who would be listening to this podcast. Wishing you all happiness and peace. Thank you so much.